You know, you are bougie on a budget.
Very.
Yeah,
Bougie
they
on
got
the
a series
budget.
on their Sunrise Media TikTok.
Bougie on the
Bougie on the
budget.
budget. And then you see this like Gen Z, like down there, like, you know, that kind of...
Yeah. So one of the best tips from the Bougie on the Budget thing, right, is eat before you come out to a French restaurant. Then you can, then you can just enjoy the wine.
Okay, welcome back to the Financial Coconut Podcast. Today is a very special episode, right? Because I feel like today's episode, I don't need to do a lot of work.
Why?
Because there's a lot of people that can talk today, right? Like, I don't need to do a lot of hard work. But yeah, introduce yourself, guys. Like, what do you do for people that don't know you yet? Yeah.
I'm Terrence, one half of the podcasting duo Yalabat, also Ministry of Funny, where we
Wait, Ministry of Finance still exists?
it still exists.
still exists.
We
Well,
produce
that was a
videos,
reaction.
It's going to exist forever.
Okay.
film, TV, more visual stuff. Ministry of Funny, comedy. You know, Yalabat is a podcast where we talk about current affairs with a dose of comedy.
Yeah. I mean, overall, the main theme is we use comedy to talk about tough topics. We made a TV show about terrorism. Our podcast talks about topics that you don't normally see in mainstream media. And we try and always look at different perspectives. That's why it's called Yalabat.
And what's your name? Sorry.
Oh, my name is Harish. See, that's why we're a team.
Of course.
Yeah,
Right, so
exactly.
Yalabat guys, you guys know them. They're very famous. And you, Len, why you here?
So,
No, come on.
I also don't know. Just stumble down the stairs.
Yeah, the diva just walk
open
past
the
and say, hey, you want to
door.
come in, right? You want to come in,
Yeah,
right?
it's so difficult to get my booking, you know, as Beyonce. My name is Zat and I'm the head of content for Rice Media. Do I need to explain what Rice Media is?
Don't need.
Rice
Who
Media
don't know
is
Rice
okay.
Media?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But do you have like a tagline or something?
Yeah, do you have you have a thing?
I think my tagline differs depending on who I talk to lah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if somebody was to ask me like what does Rice Media publish, right? I would just say cultural, socio-political stories that are objective and balanced.
Wow, objective is a big word.
Yeah, the objective and balanced part is very hard. For most people lah, right?
But you consider yourselves alternative media or
It's very difficult to say because people call us alternative media. So whether we want to say whether we want to accept that or not, right? It's out of our hands already.
But you wear it as a badge of honor, like, yo, I'm alternative.
But in some ways we are. I mean, yeah, in some ways we are alternative, right?
Yeah,
Like,
underground.
you know,
underground, bro.
Underground,
we talk about things that people don't even know exist, right?
yeah,
And then we
it's
just
true.
bring it up.
It's true.
But if it is something that people know exists, then we take a different and fresh spin to it.
Maybe Zat, you share with us a little bit about like your podcasting journey, right? Because today the tagline is gonna be like podcasters don't make money, we buy now, pay later.
You mean my previous podcasting journey?
Yeah,
ah?
previous. Share with us. If not, why you validate why you hear, right? Like,
Oh.
yeah, share with us a little bit of your podcast.
Oh, okay.
You know, yeah, all that.
Oh, that's why you called me.
Yeah.
My podcast journey, right, was brief, right? But it was, I think I did it in 2018, back when it was still very nascent. So Singaporeans were not very aware of like podcasts. There still isn't like popular podcasts like Okay Let's Go, all these things, right? Don't have misogynistic podcasts.
No,
don't
it's
have,
okay, right? It can go viral, and then we can get them on. I love to talk to them. Yes.
Yeah, don't have sensitive topics and things like that lah. So in 2018, I started this company with my best friends called SG Narratives. So I've always wanted to do like podcasts and talk to like I call them the luminaries of thoughts of Singapore lah. Why you laugh?
Luminaries.
Laugh so loud some more. So I spoke to like bookshop owners, poets, dramaturgs, theatre practitioners. Yeah. Okay, finish it.
can feel the judgment or not?
I do.
Whoa.
But I completely understand because at that point in time, my role model, right, was Crystal Tippett of On Being, right, with her dulcet tones.
Yeah, I hate
and
those.
asking questions. No. So one of the podcasts that really influenced how I look at podcasts, right, was Crystal Tippett's interview with a sonic acoustic engineer who was looking for the quietest place in America.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wait, so
interesting.
where is it?
He's in the middle of the forest. Then because he is an acoustician, right? So he recorded all the sound of the forest. Then you can hear it like in the podcast, right? You can actually hear the birds and the forest and the trees rustling. Those really make me feel like, oh my God, But for me, when I did my podcast at that time, it was called SGN Discuss. So we were supposed to discuss things. Of course, when the interviewees came in, right, the first thing they asked me is, what do you want to discuss? Yeah, then I will ask them, for instance, with Theophilus Quack, who's a poet, my co-host, my host, asked him questions about poetry. When we spoke to Cyril Wong, we spoke about loss, about separation, about growing up as a queer kid, things like that. And yeah, it was just something really fun for me to do. When I spoke to Onyata Effendi, who's now a batik shop owner, right? I remember the question, the one question I asked her that really stumped her, right, was, do you think that you would have been this successful if you had not attended all these illustrious schools? And she's like, Zal, you cannot ask me like that, Zal. So difficult.
I think till date, everyone reacts like that to you.
Yeah.
Right? Your questions are like that.
Yeah, but then my question is not malicious. No, my question is just, you need to get to the heart of it, lah. That's how journalism works, right? And essentially, that was what I did with my podcast, lah. I think it was only 20 episodes, but each episode was like around 48 minutes long. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Because I love music, right? So when I put the music to it, especially when there's poets, so I will get the poets to recite their own poems, right? Then I will time it with the music. So that the moment it ends, right, the music also ends. Which is what I did with Theophi, with Cyril, with Amanda.
Then why did you stop?
I think I stopped because there was
no money to be made.
Didn't,
right,
yeah, I think that was one of it, because we needed to move on to other things, right? Because that thing itself was not sustainable, and it does take a lot of time for me, lah.
But your purpose in it was to highlight people in the literary space.
Not just the literary space. It can also be people who have very good sense of grounding. They're very grounded about who they are. They know what they are. They know what they can do, and they are very sure of themselves. So that's who I get. That's who I get on. So for instance, I spoke to the bookshop owner, the one that you like.
Books actually.
No. So I interviewed the bookstore owner. He's really passionate about reading, how he started all these things, right? Then my last question to him was, do your children read? That's it. Just a simple, do your children read? Then he paused. Then my son is dyslexic. So I'm like, oh my God, how does that work? Say, you are someone who loves books, you read, you have your own bookshop, but your son is dyslexic. Yeah, then he actually paused for a very long time as he digested that. Those are the moments that I want.
Yeah.
That silence, those are the things that I appreciate.
Yeah.
So that is my brief podcast journey.
If only there was TikTok already, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then
for
you would have
sure.
continued. Yeah. But you guys came after that, right? I came after you guys.
I mean, the first iteration of our podcast was in 2018.
Yeah.
2018, we actually had a different name. It was called the Mothshroom.
Luckily, you changed. I don't know if it was.
What made us come up with it? Was Ministry of Funny Moth. And then we were like, okay, this is a room. And then, when you take mushrooms, never say what kind of mushrooms, but you have a certain kind of...
out of the world experience, right? Okay,
and I'm talking about oyster mushrooms.
Yeah,
and oyster mushrooms only. So it was a mushroom.
Lion's mane or something. Yeah.
And at that point in time, I did like Joe Rogan. I think both of us, right? Both of us thought that kind of long form conversations, no cap on how long, that's what we wanted to do. So it was very guest centric. And first ever podcast we did was with Fakafaz. Then we spoke to a friend who's in crypto, and we had about 8 guests. And then we realized that if it's guest-centric, then it's very dependent on their availabilities, and you can't have that regularity.
Production is horrible, right?
Yeah.
The pre-work is so tired.
You see, a big headache organizing for
big
everyone
headache.
here,
You
right?
see, to get everyone in. My goodness, drag, change, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Mostly you lah.
Yeah, mostly me.
Come also, then
Yeah,
want
then
to
come
drink
also
coffee,
late. I want
always the
coffee,
toilet, everything.
Right.
So that was the first iteration, and then we took a pause on that. And then the second iteration.
Yeah. Then we decided, okay, let's just take whatever conversations that we have every day at lunch when we meet for lunch or what. Those kopitiam conversations, bitching about, politics or social, political issues and all that. And we just put it on a podcast and see where it goes from there. So that's when we started Yalla But, which, the name implies, right? Like you can say Yalla, but I have another opinion. So that's where we evolved it into something else. We still do guests, but once in a while, it's not. And it's only really the best of the best. They come on our podcast, I think when you were there for the budget talking about
Thank you.
Reggie.
Wow. Have to lah. I have to. I will soak that in. Yeah, I'll soak that
But the
in.
reason also we chose that format is because we knew we wanted to stay in podcasting. And then we looked at, okay, doing guest-centric, you can't have that consistency. Those lunchtime conversations that Terrence and I used to have, because we had a bigger team back then, and over lunch, we would be the ones arguing about topics. Then not everyone was interested. So then we realized, hey, but if it's interesting to us, maybe there's someone out there. And it was a lot easier to create a podcast than a video. So we tried it. It was started off once a week. And we just, at the end of 2022, we did we re-listened to our first few podcasts and we were awkward as but slowly once a week. And then people started messaging us on Instagram. Then someone suggested we start a subreddit. And then we realized, oh, this is filling a gap. Because why one motivation for starting this is also because you read newspapers in Singapore, every issue, you get one perspective. You read another newspaper, you get another perspective. And if it's mainstream
Do
media...
you really get another perspective?
Yeah, mainstream media is all the
It's
same
one perspective. It's
Then
one perspective.
you go maybe some of the Independent or Rise or Reddit. I think Rise is more balanced. At least there are a few different perspectives. But everything else is like one. Yeah.
Can you sense the energy? Like it's like yeah,
Just yep.
I know Sarang Hey, yes.
But then there was no one doing it with comedy. And then some of our comedic heroes are like Jon Stewart, John Oliver, and felt like in Singapore no one's talking about it. So we just tried it on podcasting and we realized it is a gap. Even now I would say there's more commentary, but it's still a gap when it comes to the mainstream media. And then it evolved from there, went from once a week to twice a week. Then during the 2020 elections,
it blew up.
that was when we said, because elections, that 10-day period, I don't know what it's called.
Isn't it called hustings?
Yeah.
Hustings.
Yeah, but it's an official name for it lah.
It's an official name.
Campaigning.
Yeah, campaigning
period.
the campaigning period lah.
campaigning,
That was
campaign.
when you increased to what? Close to every day.
Every day, almost every day. Yeah, every
Because
day.
it was COVID, right? So stuck at home. And we were reading the news, like, hey, shit, there's
No,
so
I was
much.
consuming you guys. I was like, I need to be on this show.
That was that was the first time I think we spiked like crazy because I think people, there's so much to read and they say, okay, here are two guys trying to make jokes. Within 1 hour, you get just enough to know what's going on. And we did it for 10 days and we peaked on Spotify and we're like, oh shit, there's something here.
Yeah.
How many followers you have now, actually?
I think Spotify, we're about 9 plus.
Okay.
9,000 plus.
Nice.
That's the thing about the podcasting thing. It's not as simple as like YouTube where you have one number for subscribers. Because you have Spotify followers, you have Apple. So we don't actually track that very actively. Do you all?
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
Super
yeah.
actively. Yeah.
Not active, every week review.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's quite
review.
quite active, right? Quite active, right?
Yeah, that's
Consider-
active.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what's your number?
With us.
Wow, sharing numbers. So,
Yeah,
so
that's
brave.
so
Go ahead, go
fast.
ahead.
Oh my
it's like
God,
it's
yeah.
like the podcast equivalent of like how much you bench, bro.
Yeah. So
How
I
much
think
you
we
bench?
have Spotify. We have like what 16,000 followers
Oh.
for the main show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apple maybe like only 5 or something.
Oh.
But that's the interesting thing about podcasts is that you sort of find your own little area, your own niche, right?
It may not cross on.
It may not cross,
It may
you
not
know.
cross,
whatever.
yeah.
So numbers, they're not like YouTube where Jian Hao has 300,000 views and then NOC has this many views and then you know that they are fighting every week to be the trending video and all that.
Yeah.
Whereas podcast is like you sort of exist in your own space, you serve your own audience, you let your audience, help you grow and they're very supportive. They're much more sticky. They stick
Yeah.
around for your personality,
That's
for
what I
your
heard. So
thing.
yeah, that's what I heard. Also.
Compared to YouTube. And we come from the space that we spend many years doing YouTube.
Yeah.
So we really feel that difference and we tell people like it's night and day. Like the kind of engagement you get on podcast versus YouTube video.
Yeah.
Nice,
And I mean,
nice.
even YouTube videos, when like the first part, we used to start with like me talking to the camera a bit. And sometimes I would go a bit longer. And then Terrence would be like, shut the up. No one cares. Let's just go straight to the video. Which is true. On YouTube, you have to almost like, you have to get to the meat like fast. Whereas podcasting
I give
is
it
like...
30 seconds to capture the essence.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Podcasting, there's room to breathe, Like,
Yeah.
Like,
Hello,
like
how
what-
are you? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. It's like what Zat said earlier about even the pause, it is part of the
It's
whole
part of
thing.
the conversation.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
part of the conversation.
Yeah, it
The
is.
space is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like what video you must cut until like tight, really tight.
Yeah, exactly.
That, but are you guys then making an income or making money out of podcasting?
Yeah. I mean, right now, not like to the point where we can give up everything else we do. It's mainly through branded partnerships and pre-roll ads and commission podcasts and some speaking engagements here and there.
Who chose you to speak For what, yeah?
Like
Like strong.
why, jealous is it? Reggie jealous
Wow, yeah.
The financial coconut. I mean, we're not being paid for this.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought-
yeah.
I thought-
What the fuck?
Reggie, what the hell?
I thought under the table that we want ang pao.
What you need to speak?
Like there was one poly conversation. So
Hey,
it's
I also open for speaking engagement.
then you
This is
must
my
ask for
email here.
stipend, dude.
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
No money. I'm not interested in exposure.
Yeah, correct. I think it helps that we also have the YouTube background, so they see us as podcasters now.
Oh, whoa, so you're
But-
drawing line here?
Oh, yeah. We're better than you, lah, basically.
Whoa. Sensei. No, wait, but they pay you to go and speak at the school. Have they consumed your podcast not?
No, so it's like for the primary school, secondary school, those sort of talks, that one, no lah. But for certain like
Like corporations also, right?
oh yeah, correct.
We've gone to corporations to talk about content creation or using your content to engage groups of young people.
Yeah.
And I think we because of our YouTube background also, we can talk about a wider range of content beyond just audio as well.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I won't say they're speaking engagements. They're almost more like coaching
and
of
workshops
things,
and
workshops
seminars.
and all. Yeah.
But one thing that we realized from monetizing through podcasts, which is not easy, we have actually started a side service right now.
Yeah.
So it's called Folklory. What we realized through having long form conversations, like there's some beauty in long form conversations that you cannot get in like text and even short form videos, right? And during COVID, when people were all distanced, we were like, we're doing these remote interviews with people. And there's a certain kind of nice bond there. Lah. If people are distanced, what if we help record conversations with your loved ones who you can't see face to face? So I just tried recording something with my mom. I was like, okay, can you sit down for 30 minutes? I asked her what's it like being 70 and all. And it was quite special. So then we were talking, we said, okay, let's try it for our audience. And we got like 5 beta testers to just record conversations about what they feel about their daughter or their parent. And they all found it super special. Then we were like, oh, how much would you pay for this? We did some surveys. Then we started charging. And now, over the past 9 months where we made an active push, we've sold 77 folklories to 31 customers over 12 countries. And it can be anything ranging from us wanting to talk to their 82-year-old dad who's having the onset of dementia so that they can capture his stories for their unborn children.
Oh my.
And it's like asking their dad to talk about their mom and their mom to talk about their dad for their 50th anniversary. And like Terrence and I have been doing the conversations, and it's just amazing how people are so open. We do it audio only, so you don't even see face to face. Because we realize with camera, people can be a little self-conscious.
Not a little. It's different.
Yeah, it's
very
different.
Once the
right?
camera is on, the whole thing is different.
And we found like, oh shit, there's so far customer feedback has been great. And I mean, we can even offer a promo code for the Financial Coconut listeners.
You should.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the website is folklory.com. The name Folklory because essentially we are capturing the folklore of a person. We have examples on the website. We have real life full folklories that our customers have given us the consent to launch, and we can offer 25% off.
Yeah,
Rice
legit.
25, coconut 25.
Yes.
We'll put it in the show notes and whatnot.
Yes, put it in the show notes.
Folklory.com.
Yes.
So for a month from when this comes out, we can
Do
do
you
it.
just hijack my scheduling? For a month, I say, control yourself, right? But it will go out. It will go out.
Okay.
Go out.
But
Yes,
Terrence,
yes.
did I miss anything from your experience having all these conversations? Or?
No, it's just basically like a time capsule that you can, buy of your loved
Yeah,
ones.
that sounds cute.
And
Really.
just keep forever, share
Sounds very
forever with your
cute.
children, your grandfather's voice, save it for your children, and all that lah. So it's really it's something born from things like this just talking like this. Then we realize people don't talk like this anymore.
Yeah.
We text, we Instagram stories, we do all that, but no more long form conversations, no more sitting there playing games and talking, or even on the phone just talking shit about the day. And all that is lost, and we're trying to bring that back a little bit.
Yeah. And audio is a space like the listenership, the consumption habits, Singapore is increasing. It's still like a minority of people who listen. I think even the world, the West, it has blown up. And just like most things, if it blows up in the West, it will eventually come to the East. So our goal
It's
also
huge
is
in China also.
Yeah, in
Taiwan
China,
is big with podcasts.
Yeah.
They just use a different medium altogether.
Yeah.
And,
And-
did I just put China, Taiwan together? Sorry.
Oh.
You don't need to catch me on that. I said your own position is up to you. Okay?
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
exactly. And I mean, what excites us about the idea is also because we do it remote, because we do audio, the interviews can come from anywhere in the world. So we want to build up like a network of people who speak different languages, who specialize in different topics, and then we just pair them up, handle the post-production. And so that's a big focus for us now. So we are
Nice.
super bullish about the audio space. So monetization through podcast, but not particularly through pre-roll ads or anything. It's through this site service. Then our podcast becomes a marketing vehicle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Correct.
So is your income then stable in that sense? Like, are you making stable, or is it still like production?
You're saying
or like,
the podcast specific income?
Overall.
no, like overall, like your income,
Overall, I think we still do a lot of TV production. We're still producing,
you still
writing.
there to do TV production.
Yeah, yeah. We had a very traumatic experience after releasing our first TV production on a regional network, and it's no secret lah. I mean, we talked about it a lot on our podcast and all about when we were doing it on this platform called HOOQ. And that was our first TV production. It was about it's called She's a Terrence and I Love Her, and it was really like something that we're really proud of when we finished producing it. Then we released it on the platform, and a month later the platform liquidated lah. Basically leaving the project, leaving the payments and everything hanging. And so that was a very traumatic experience for us that we had to live through the last couple of years.
Because it was
during
2
COVID.
weeks before lockdown in Singapore. So the industry got hit. Our business already got hit because we couldn't make TV shows and videos. Some more got this debt of this payment that was still outstanding.
Wait, why do you have a debt on outstanding?
Because the contract we signed with them, the last 40% was predicated, was due like after the final episode goes live. And the final episode went live in like February. So we were just getting ready to invoice them for the last payment. Then they liquidated. And I remember we found out because a friend sent us an article and I was blurred as Then I told Terrence, okay, they liquidate, so what? They're going to pay us, right? Then he was like, dude, are you kidding me? I was like, why?
Worst case
They're
scenario.
not going
You
to pay
virgin,
us.
right?
But there's a contract. How can they not pay us?
So that's the larger context of where Reggie saying,
yeah,
you still
You
have to
still
make
there
TV.
to do TV production.
Yeah,
because,
I forgot the point.
So there was a traumatic experience. But yes, we still do TV production. We've done things with MediaCorp since, a couple of TV series, both in different languages like Tamil, Chinese, English. And we are doing an audio narrative series with Audible. The
Nice.
Amazon Audible that got
I know you guys
commissioned.
won the thing, right? Like you need
You're one of the handful of
finalists
that got selected to develop it into a full series.
Yeah, so that is happening right now. Yeah, so that's I would say that's a day job lah, so to speak. And the podcast is not as what to your question is not like something regular that it's already launched and all that. But it's at the starting phases.
Yeah.
But we're excited about the potential lah.
Yeah. Of course, it would be awesome if there was one of that is steady, but everything is like 4 micro businesses that we are trying to grow. So it just have to manage all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So income is okay.
The base is stable. And then now we're just focusing on the upside.
And it's not because of podcasting, right? It's because of
It's a
all
mix.
It's a mix.
Yeah. So because some months we might have more podcast brand deals. And some months when we have like a lot of folklore orders. Some months when we get the next tranche of payment for our TV show. So every month at the end, it's relatively stable. But then now we're just trying to keep going up and up and up.
Yeah. And Zat, will you continue podcasting if there was money to be?
I know for sure that with podcasting it's very hard to get money.
Yeah, it is.
That's it lah. It's the reality of it, right? Let me say that again. That is the reality of it, right? I think, which is why what you do, right? I want to say it's correct, but that sounds a bit like
No,
standoffish.
it's okay. You can say correct.
It's correct,
You are the diva
when
in
you
the house,
when you
okay?
use the podcast as like the channel to show what you can do, as opposed to using the podcast as a money maker.
Yeah. But aren't there successful ones like, okay, let's go and
Yeah, but they depend on what? Sensationalism. If we sit around here together, oh my god, it's happening. if we sit here together and we
pushed
talk,
you.
if we sit here together and talk about like woke culture in Singapore is too much, right? If we talk about that, right, and we say that woke culture is too much, like people are pushing it too much and it's no longer seen as being a very positive thing, right? A lot of people will come on what? Sensationalism is the thing that works in Singapore because Singaporeans, the mind is very simple.
Whoa, I don't dare to take that position.
Yeah, like their consumption habits is so clear. Like you really need to be a special kind of like production or publication, right, for people to actually listen to you.
How come I feel like that was a lead in to like rice? Huh?
I mean, yes. if it is, you know, if the shoe, if the Christian Louboutin shoe fits, yes. But it really takes a special kind of publication to actually get people to like read long form pieces, lah, right? Like for example, my Hougang piece that I did, right? People actually sat down and read all 5,000 words of it, which is so fascinating to me because I see people, my friends tell me like, oh, you know, Zah, all of us just stop what we're doing. My whole group of friends just stop what we're doing, and then we're just reading your story together, so that we can discuss about it later, lah. You know, so that it takes a special kind of person. But then when you look at podcasts that are very very successful in Singapore, if it's not a sensational podcast, right, it's horror story.
Or talking about sex, right?
Or talking about sex, yeah.
But just going back to there's someone like okay, let's go. Them having a hour long or 2 hour long conversation, say with Shanmugam or something like that. Maybe yes, they say, oh yeah, we're talking to the law minister.
Clarity, do they pay? Like minister, a few MP came on your show, right?
Yeah.
No,
Is it
it's
a
not.
brand
It's not.
paid
No,
deal
I
or
guess,
no?
I guess, yeah. Once you get paid, it's different already. I think.
I don't think they can get paid because it's not ethical.
Yeah.
For ministers to
Wait,
get.
really? You mean the minister go on the daily catch up? They're not paid?
No,
I don't think they
yeah.
should be
I think
paid
they-
because
yeah.
then there's a monetary exchange.
I think where they get paid is like, you know, last time Michelle Chong did one video about POFMA with Shanmugam.
Okay,
so
so
that one was clearly
I know, like
a
Zoe Tay,
scripted
that one
skit.
confirmed. That one is like so
That
paid.
one is paid lah.
Yeah,
Because you look at it also, I mean, she's playing a character. Obviously, the questions are meant to put it in a good light. But I think the podcast, I give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't think
So
it's
you're
a
not
paid
you're
thing.
not sure.
For them. For
you're
us,
not- okay,
for
okay.
us, any minister that has appeared,
Okay.
there's no monetary exchange at all.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
pretty sure,
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Even the people who arrange these things would know that there's crossing a very clear ethical line
Yeah.
if they paid for the ministers to appear.
But you know why, right? This is ethically not right.
You challenging my ethics on air, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, but please share. Why?
It's the same as like some people will ask us, do we pay them for interviews? You know, like my writers will contact people and they will ask, like, do you pay? Then I tell my writers, you cannot pay people for interviews because then the interview is not pure. It's tarnished. It's not correct already because there's a monetary element to it.
But last time when
Yeah,
I go
I
on
feel-
dates, how come I must pay?
Were those days successful?
Because it's so
A
painful.
lot of them weren't.
Opportunity cost.
It's so painful to hang out with you. Of course you must pay.
But that means it's not pure. It's not pure. The interaction was not
the
pure.
thing is, I feel very attacked now.
Why?
Because like that's how I monetize. Like a lot of my interviews, they come in like my corporate sponsors. They sponsor, then they send their
Okay, yeah.
see whatever.
Difference,
on
yeah.
the show.
But for ministers, it's different because that one, it's
Public interest, right?
it's
So
public
you
interest.
feel ministers are different, but corporate interest is like just pay lah. Is that it?
Yeah.
That kind of feeling?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because corporate is very clear. They're trying to sell something, you see.
Okay.
They're selling something and it compromises on your brand as a podcast, as a authentic voice. When you're shilling something for someone, helping to sell someone sell something. Of course, ideally we feel that the brand is helpful to the audience, then we work with them. Of course,
There's
we
a
won't
lot
like.
of caveats, huh?
Yeah, there has to be. Yeah. I think it's a very grey area because I mean the fact that we're having this discussion shows that it's not a universal truth either, right? You know? But when it comes to ministers, you know, we're talking about things that people are very interested in. That we want to make sure that we don't push one agenda at the expense of being able to ask other questions and all that. Yeah.
Nice.
Because like for the corporate people who come on, we are very upfront with them that we don't really prepare questions beforehand, or even if we give some guiding talking points, it would go because we also want to not dilute our brand. We have a certain way of approaching things, and we also need to be fair to our audience. We don't want to just be shilling stuff to them that
Corporate comms never hunker down on you.
No, so that's why it's always a very laborious process.
Yeah.
And thankfully, the clients that have come on who have gotten a guest with us, they have been quite open.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's a self-select, right? In
Yeah,
that
it's a
sense. They
self-select.
go on your show for a reason. They come on my show for a reason,
Exactly.
right? They really select based on
Yeah.
what we usually do.
Yeah, that's why.
What you're describing is a commissioned podcast,
Yeah,
I would say.
Commission
As
piece,
opposed to
essentially.
getting like us, we're guests here.
Yeah,
We're just here and
we're doing editorial here.
Yeah.
Editorial.
We're here for the exposure.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't think we were here just for exposure. We found out. We found out.
Hey, welcome to the Financial Coconut Podcast Network. I'm your host, Reggie, aka Your Chief Financial Coconut. And if you're loving what we're creating here, like, share, subscribe, share with your loved ones, comment in the comment section below. And yeah, we'll see you for great content on Chills with TFC. so that now we have established that, all of you are doing fine, right? Financially okay, right? Like maybe podcasting cannot make you a lot of money, but financially you're okay, right?
Yeah.
And then we are on a financial podcast, right? So
Yes.
I have to ask you guys like how you manage your money, right? Like so just get some things going, because sometimes I feel like the people in the personal finance space, we are like in our own echo chamber, like we say we peddle the same things again and again, and then we make it sound like it is what it is, why people don't understand, and it's a bit of a snob, it's a bit of echo, and it gets a bit lame. Right, so I wanted to get you guys in to try to like understand a little bit like how do you do it, right? And are some of these ideas out there not vibing with you, right? So maybe we start, okay, like do you budget now? Like maybe start with like the lame things like budget. Do you not saying budgeting is lame, not why people tune in, right? But do you budget? And if you do, like how do you do it?
I budget lah, but I don't budget like traditionally. Like people have like
you are bougie on the budget.
Very.
Yeah,
Bougie
they
on
got
the
a series
budget.
on their TikTok, Rise Media TikTok.
Bougie on the budget.
budget. And then you see this like Gen Z, like down there, like, that kind of.
Yeah. So one of the best tips from the Bougie on the Budget thing, right, is eat before you come out to a French restaurant. Then you can, then you can just enjoy the wine.
That's good.
Bougie on the budget lah. Like that lah.
Yeah.
I think I don't use like apps, like last time previously, there was a period of time where my friends were so enamored with the
YNB.
you need a budget, YNAB.
YNAB.
Yeah,
correct,
and they're like,
they were
need-
using that.
Yeah, they were using that. And when I went on it, and it was so difficult to understand, it is not the easiest thing for a commoner to understand. So I just budget the way I budget. I make sure that I don't spend more than I earn now. In fact, for a very long period of time, right, I save 80% of my income.
That's good.
But because my lifestyle don't change. I didn't change my lifestyle even after I like have more money, right? Even after I earn more money, I don't change my lifestyle. I don't suddenly like grab everywhere or like buy like things or suddenly go on like expensive holidays. I don't. I just maintain the same lifestyle, but my money increase. So I don't need to spend so much. So that's how I budget. In terms of like food, but recently it's been quite difficult. I thought I had reached like this point in my life, right, where I can comfortably buy $15 dishwashing soap.
Why the hell you want $15 dishwashing
Because I
soap?
can.
It's an our natural thing, right?
Because
That's
like
true.
organic,
Yeah.
buy it from Scoop, Scoop Wholesale.
See, must be scoop. Must be
Then like
scoop.
must put in that, then they will fill in for you lah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
$15. But do I wash a lot of plates? I don't. Do I cook a lot? I don't. Yeah. So I don't usually like do this kind of things at home lah. So, but I just buy it because I felt like I have reached a certain point in my life where I can actually buy $15 soap. Right. But I don't anymore lah. So like because this year like there's like this impending recession lah, inflation, right? So I thought, alamak, cannot lah. So I must go back to my austere budgeting.
I see.
Yeah, and my budgeting is super austere and
Like how?
like extreme.
So when you say you're budgeting, that means every month you start with an idea of how much you can spend on certain things.
So a long time ago, right, I know how much I will spend in a month roughly based on like what I eat, what I spend on, what I buy, what I watch, all this, right? So I don't deviate beyond that. So if say one day I decide, what, I'm going to buy a laptop, right? Then it becomes a
One off, right?
like
It's
an
okay.
outlier, and that's okay.
Yeah,
But beyond that, right, I usually don't spend any more than I should. Yeah,
Nice.
and it helps that my house is like a 3-room flat, right? So I get a lot of USAVE rebates.
I see.
USAVE rebates are the best. Thanks, government.
Ministry of Finance need to sponsor us.
Thank you.
Yeah. We can run a series together around this, right? They got the Ministry of Finance stuff.
So to answer the question, do I budget? Yes, but I don't budget intentionally. I don't every month.
No, and I think that's the best position to be in, right? Like after a period of time when you get clarity on how you spend, and you can consistently get to a position where you are in a surplus, right?
Yeah.
Like you make more than how you spend, and you're very comfortable, you're very chill about it. I think that's the best position to be in, right? Not like every day you have to track your budget, like how much you spend, like all that. But has it changed for you guys? Like because you have a kid, like a young kid, you bought a house, like your life has changed.
No, I was going to say similar to Zach that way. Like, we kind of know what we spend on. I know how much I just need to park for, everything. But one thing I learned the last 1-2 years is that when you have a kid, their needs evolve so dramatically, so quickly. When they start going to school, suddenly there's this like monthly school fees, like, oh shit. And then when
Wait,
they start,
isn't your kid like...
yeah, he's too, but play group. I mean, because if not, how do if not, I have to homeschool him, and then I'll never be able to do work. So
okay.
they start young lah. I mean, some people even infants. There's infant care already, which they send kids to as infants to be taken care of, and those fees add up lah. And then once they get a bit older, there's other things like whether it's the insurance or or you want to bring them on holiday. Like I brought my kid recently on holiday.
So brave.
Yeah, lower than below 2, I think they pay 10% of the ticket fare. After 2, it jumps to 70%.
Oh, is
also,
it?
Yeah.
Where
So,
do you go?
Japan. I was in Tokyo. Yeah. It was one of the. There was a lot. It was basically Singapore there, lah. Yeah. Everyone there was Singaporean.
Wait, do you buy insurance for your kid before he was born?
Yes. My wife got insurance when she was pregnant, lah. Yeah. Basically, but it's not very common as I understand it.
But
lah.
actually, it's one of the best.
Yeah.
It's one of the best because there's no data point to evaluate whether your kid is like normal or not, right?
Right.
So
That's
yeah,
true.
really.
It's
true.
That normal inverted commas. You see, like cannot chill the rice person. Very stressed.
That wasn't something that like our parents did, or at least they didn't do it for me. They only got insurance after I was born.
Yeah.
Right? Back then, even the whole insurance discussion wasn't really a big thing then, and I think I got my insurance a bit late. Yeah.
But just to finish the thought, then everything is more expensive for children also. Like you go and see a doctor, can be very expensive unless you go to polyclinic and all that. But then if you got a screaming child and everything, you can't afford to wait and you just need to go to a private doctor and all these things all add up. And they just change so dramatically for every 3 months, every 6 months that you just like, oh fuck, like everything.
So what has
budgeted
changed over
before.
the past 3 months?
Like him going to school, like this past year, he started going to school. His medical fees also start to go up in terms of like when he goes to see doctor or takes vaccinations and things like that lah. Now all this like it does throw a huge spanner in the works when you're having a kid lah. Eventually if you're plan to or anything, it's just something to recall. You can plan all you want, but something will happen and it will just throw a spanner to everything lah. Yeah.
So then what would be your advice like now that you have actually had a kid?
Wow.
Like how much
Don't have a kid.
There is a lot of assistance you can get. Like remember there was a COVID grant for COVID babies and all that lah.
Really?
And just so happened my kid was born like right before the eligibility period.
You sweet kid lah, bro.
This kind of thing. So $3,000 just like zoop, I didn't get it like that. And I even wrote into MP and everything. And I think in joining, I think she brought it up in Parliament, but in the end they said they can't lah. They just have to draw a line. So there are assistance schemes. If you want to use just have the basics, make sure everything is taken care of. It's actually affordable lah.
You feel so? What is the difference between like the basic and like where are you?
Let's say you want to go and see a gynecologist, like you can go to a private gynae or you can go to the government one lah. But it comes with trade-offs lah. Like the government one, you got no choice of which gynae. Sometimes you go different sessions is different gynaes and all, so there's no continuation and all that, right? But it's not saying that they're any lousier or what. It's just your level of comfort with a little bit of uncertainty here and there. If you're really thinking of having a family and all, it's not insurmountable. It's just what you choose to do as a parent also lah. Like how much you're willing to sacrifice. Because for us, like we decided, like we want as much as possible to give whatever we can to the kid lah. So you can choose the cheapest option or you can choose a slightly better option. Then there's always trade-offs. So we chose the trade-off in favor of the kid. So yeah, the advice I would say is don't be dissuaded from having a kid. It's possible, but just be aware that the sacrifices you have to make.
So will you get a second kid?
I mean, I would. I did have a second kid recently, but he passed, unfortunately. It was a very difficult last few months. But even if you ask me now still, I would say if I had a choice of even ever having kids earlier, I think I would still have kids even earlier if I could have. Yeah. It's just opened up a different way of viewing life than you've ever experienced.
Which is a different show, right? We can
It's a
talk about
different
that.
show.
That's a whole long,
Definitely different show.
whole long
Very
discussion.
long discussion.
Very long
Yeah.
discussion. Yeah.
So that's why I try to make sure that don't dissuade people from having kids because it's not for everyone, but it can be very good for a lot of people.
Yeah,
So yeah.
And the mystery is out, right? There was a period of time you guys were not posting.
Yes.
Yeah. And I DM you. I was like, hey, Haresh, what happened? Why you not posting?
Yeah.
Close already.
Yeah.
Right, and
How long was that?
quite a while.
Like
Like
a
my
month.
listeners were texting me, hey, can you ask the Yalla Park guys why they're not posting?
Yeah, it was a month. It was a month.
Yeah.
But it's sad that at that point I was like, so many things going on in my
No,
life.
you should not.
Yeah,
Like
you just
you know,
take your time off,
you should.
I think that's where the beauty of it as well. We talked about the listeners, right? They're very understanding
Yeah.
that we're human beings also, and
Yeah.
that we have, when things happen to us, we need time to react to it.
Yeah. It's an algorithm that is not understanding.
It's the algorithm. Yeah. But still, not as jialat as YouTube. YouTube is literally
The
like,
video algorithm is horrible. horrible.
YouTube's like, if you miss one Friday, oh shit, you get punished for that, right? That kind of thing.
And I mean, even when Terrence shared about the whole experience on our podcast, the listeners were very, very compassionate. And that's something that we felt, oh, there's really something special about the podcast space and the listeners and the stickiness and the loyalty. Because they listen to you, they probably know you a lot. They almost feel like your friend.
Sometimes I feel like they know me more than I know myself.
Yeah,
because when you
exactly.
speak, you go into this like transient, like high, like and then at the end it's like, what did I just say?
Yeah.
I don't remember, but they remember.
Well, I think they know me better than some of my own family members or friends and all.
Yeah.
So what about you? Like, how do you manage your finances?
For me, I think as of a few years ago, probably COVID was when we did have that very tough period. Then it was
It's still
something
going on, right? Like this tough period.
the liquidation.
Yeah.
I mean, that in and of itself, it's still going on. It's still a shit show. We are gonna get the story out to the world sometime in the coming months. But we have moved on from that and our business has bounced back. But that period in time, already the few years prior to that, I was starting to look more at my finances and trying to be more cognizant, but nothing too specific. Then with COVID, then I started, documenting how much I'm spending here, how much I'm spending there. Then last year, start of the year, I moved in with my now wife. So a year and a half before that. So 2021, we moved in. And that's when we're like, okay, we really need to look at our expenses. So now we have a practice that we do every month. We consolidate all our expenses and we put it in different buckets. So then we know how much we spend each month. And then we try and budget for the next month. Of course, the second half of last year, everything got thrown off because of the wedding. We still try to be economical about it, but now we are getting back on track with that. But as much as we do that, right, we track our expenses. The thing that always I'm like, oh shit, what do I do next? You always hear, grow your money, invest there. And I've tried, all this dollar cost averaging, but sometimes there's like paralysis by analysis, man. I don't even know where the to start. And I'm like, okay, even I downloaded that
YNBA.
And same thing, I log in, I was like, this needs a course on how to use this.
Yes.
It's not that easy.
It's not intuitive.
Yeah, it's not intuitive. And of course, if you make something that's so simple, sometimes you do need to get granular.
You get simplistic, yes.
Yeah,
It becomes problematic.
So I'm still trying to figure out, okay, now that we know how much we spend, how much we save, what else can we do? And you don't want to just jump into crypto. You don't want to just jump into like those kind of retail trading apps. Do you want to put it with like one of those robo advisories? So it's still something I'm figuring out because at the same time, now we, at some point, I would like to build a family also. Then you think about the cost of that. And then if you want to upgrade where you're living, everything starts to feel very scary. And while our business is growing, we are super optimistic, super bullish. There's still a lot of things that are floating. Yeah, and that's the, I guess, the inherent risk of doing your own thing, running your own business.
Yeah. It's okay. You can listen to our podcast more.
That means everything you preach on this podcast or you get from speakers, you practice in your daily life. There's an app.
Not
there's
everything.
a day of the month.
Not everything.
No.
Like let's say budgeting, right?
Yeah.
I no longer budget.
Oh, you no longer budget.
Yeah, because I got to the same position with you guys, right? Where I have a very good idea of like where my money goes to, right? Such that I don't need to actively budget. What I preach is, if you enter a new phase of life, you should try to do the whole budgeting thing for 3 months.
And then get some sort of
some sort of like clarity on like, okay, so what's happening? Because like if you you have kids, right? Or you buy a house, and when you enter that new space, because this is tiring, it's an extra process in your life, right? You cannot be doing every day, other than like the makcik and the auntie, right? They're amazing, right? Like this is internalized into their culture.
Yep.
But if we're like working individuals, we're trying to do the grind, still need to do budgeting.
So then do you automate a bunch of stuff?
Yes, I do.
Like what sort of stuff do you automate?
You automate your transactions, like your bill payment, your income, how you split to different bank accounts. Those things are easy to automate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you should, because the things that I'm not sure whether you want to automate is like your DCA, your investing,
because
those things. Right? So those things get a bit like more.
Even splitting into the different bank accounts, I'm assuming because certain ones have certain better savings rate and certain this and all. But even that, it's like what was your process? Was it a gradual evolution? Like, okay, first you did this, and then you did this, and you did this. Because if you're starting without having done that before, it's like, oh shit, where to start?
No, and the thing is, right, in the financial space, it's an arms race. Right. So once a company comes up with one product, another company knows that there's traction, they will come up with something similar. So they will match the interest rates or they will match the features. Right. So however I started and where it is now, it evolves. So periodically I also have to go in and say, oh, there's a new product here that looks a bit better.
Yeah.
You know, I may not be the first one to adopt because I already have a product that I'm using.
Yeah.
You know, but as it kind of move along, it's like, maybe it's quite good. Let's jump.
Yeah.
Right.
No, so
Yeah.
all these little hacks, right? Then I said, how do you keep track of it?
It gets complicated.
So
Actually,
much info.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, do you know that CPF, like when you put money into CPF, is not taxable?
Oh yeah.
But when you put money into SRS, when you
Yeah.
take the money out, it is considered as part of your income. So like when you are like 60, I can't
Oh,
remember
then
what's
you
the,
take it out,
then you
yeah.
start taking it out, right? You have a 10-year bracket to take out the money. Every time you take out the money, it constitutes as your income. So if let's say every year you take out 50,000, you immediately hit the 50,000 tax bracket.
Oh, then you have to pay tax.
Exactly. So you
See?
must strategize your exit.
See all these things, right? Zat.
Yeah, that's why you are here. You must strategize your exit because if let's say you put a lot in SRS, right? Then at the end of the period, you have like 500,000, 500,000 in your SRS, right? Great on you. But your exit needs to be strategic also.
Must be timed.
Must be
Yeah.
timed. Because if you don't take, you have 10 years bracket to exit SRS.
Yeah.
Okay. And in the first 9 years, you don't take anything. By the 10th year, you take out one time good one, 500,000. You hit the highest bracket, right? Or like one of the highest bracket in income tax. You actually pay a lot in tax, right? Because it's constitute into your income.
Yeah.
Right, which is why you must be a bit more strategic when it comes to this, right?
It's part of the financial coconut strategy to build a fund where you manage people's money. Like anytime you invite a guest, you're like, oh, would you like me to?
No, that one is a different ball game. Right? That one's a different ball game. It's a very different ball game.
Is your ideal demographic then the kind of person that basically, has a salary, is a salary worker, never going to be, like blow up
bosses,
Jeff
yeah.
Bezos and or whatever one day. And so they just need to smartly manage the money as their career goes and they go.
Yeah.
So you would say you're not really like trying to motivate the hungry entrepreneur to make a 10 times or 20 times exit and all that.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to motivate people to do that. If there was one word that would anchor the financial coconut, right, is financial well-being.
That's
right?
2 words.
Yeah.
Three.
Yeah, with the hyphen is 2 words. Okay, let's go for it.
No one pointed that out to you, is it, Reggie?
No. I just coined it recently, right? Okay, because it's a new word that's picked up traction. These kind of things, right?
Financial well-being.
Financial well-being, right? In other words, it's really just about finding peace with your finances and be a little bit smarter with it. But at the same time, live a life that you love.
Yeah.
Right? To me, that's the anchor.
Through the crypto craze and all that, you weren't like encouraging.
I wasn't talking about crypto.
Oh, you weren't,
I wasn't doing until one day guys talked to me and I was like, yeah, okay, maybe it's time for me to learn a little bit more about it.
And what a good time.
Yeah, what a good time. Yes.
Right
All
to
the
the
crashes.
winter.
All the crashes, so much coverage.
But do you ever
right?
get friends or relatives who know you're doing a financial podcast like, hey, Reggie, how are like what's
all the time? I
so-
tell you, time
Then what you tell them? What you tell
time
them?
before I did TFC, right? People think I hobo, like I do nothing, hobo, like just like backpacking, do your own thing, right? And then like after I do like this thing and people know, and then I receive like random texts, hey, what do you think of this stock? I was like, sorry, I don't do this kind of thing, like because I got no upside or downside. Right? It's like if you make money, what you gonna do, right? If you lose money, then it's like, oh, my problem. Right? Why should I give you any
So then how
kind
you
of
turn them off?
targeted
How
advice?
you say no?
Exactly what I said.
Which is what?
That was the exact thing that I said. Sorry, there's no upside for me. I'm not going to give you any advice.
Oh, so you literally tell them that
Yeah.
like
And
an uncle or something.
Yeah, and if you love it, please consume the podcast. So how are you so special? Why must I give you like personal one-to-one advice? You know what I mean? Like, no, the thing is, I recorded like hundreds of episodes, like at this point in time, we have like 300-400 episodes for different facets of finance, right? You can search, like it's not that difficult, right? And if there's something you want to learn, please go and search.
So you send them a link to your podcast.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, when people ask me something, it's like, you consume this first, after that, then we talk.
I see.
Yeah, because I already recorded it, right? That no, why not just listen first, lah, right? And if you
Because lazy.
exactly, then don't ask me. That means you are not at the level that I want to engage you at.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, tomorrow I'm going to message Reggie. Hey, Reggie,
Yeah.
what do you think about this?
Yeah, I will
Every
send
day.
you a link. Almost everything I have an answer for. Like, almost every big and small topic in personal finance, we have done some sort of coverage, right? And if there isn't, we will do it. Right. So we are kind of like building that web, right? And our community is like super amazing with this because they will ask us all sorts of questions. And then we'll be like, there's no episode to send them, huh? Okay, this is a problem.
So is your crowdsourcing topics?
Yeah, it is. And it's so important, right? Like in terms of like content creation and just really feeding the audience what they need and all these concerns, right? Big and small. Right? Yeah.
Oh.
Cool.
So, I mean, then but you never actually answered that question about podcasting. How is it for you? in terms of like the income side of things and all that, right?
So I would say we are one of the lucky people that actually make decent income from this.
Mm.
You know, like I think last year we did quite okay lah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
Blessed be the fruit.
yeah. Hashtag blessed. Yeah. Yeah. Hashtag blessed. Yeah. So it's the same with commission sponsor episodes, which our audience will know. And some of my audience, they say, hey, when you do sponsor episode, right, you're very square. Huh? Yeah. I got feedback like that, right? So it's like very square when you do sponsor episodes. I get it, right? Like it's not I don't want, you know,
Sure,
but
sure.
No, but kudos to you, man, because like the space is super exciting, but like the brands, not everyone gets podcasts yet.
Yeah. I think because we are super narrow, right? We are super narrow and we speak to an audience that is like very specific. If you think about it from a brand perspective, if they want to advertise, they want to run a campaign and they do print, they do video and they want to do audio, right? If they do print, then maybe they'll work with you guys and then they'll work like Straits Times buy a package or something, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. If they want to do video, then they work with some of the video influencers or something, right? But when they want to do audio, where they go, it's either podcast or radio, right?
Yeah.
I can dare say that I got more traction on podcasting than the radio itself, right? So because of that narrowness, we have something going, but also because of the narrowness, we are struggling to go further.
How much of that do you attribute to it being you're in the finance industry, like,
Most.
right? And at the
My
end of the day-
CPM is the highest, right?
Yeah, at the end of the day, like to me, the finance industry, I think the analogy that I think Haresh told me before, which I think is very true. Finance industry, is a lot of big players sitting at the table. They're breaking bread. They're breaking bread, passing around, spreading around. There's a lot of crumbs that drop. And if you just sweep up those crumbs, you're rich. You're being rich by any standard already.
I wanted to say that was us until he was like, you're rich.
No. I'm saying the place like banks.
But we scrape
When
scrape the crumbs. Yes.
banks move money around, they break the bread, they pass it here.
It's the hedge funds, hedge funds.
When you grab those crumbs, it's a lot of crumbs. Whereas other industries, I mean, like us, like just generally
Politics got no money. What?
Politics,
Yeah.
Politics in Singapore got no money.
And like, I mean, when we
I
talk
talked to
about...
Wale, I asked, can you do this if there's no money? He said, I can because I'm a professor.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
his job.
I make money as a professor, not because I make money out of this thing.
But just to further that point, then does it mean that if you try to go into other industries per se, there won't be those big players breaking bread?
There's no money to be made.
There's less money to be made.
My CPM is the highest, and that's the only reason why I can survive. Because relative to other medium, our traction is not as big. Like you pay the YouTubers, they get more downloads than us.
You can go into porn, I think that is a lot of money also.
The porno coconut.
The coconuts.
Yeah. No, they already have coconut media, right? Like, people thought we were part of the group. We're not.
Coconut media is a porn group. Is it?
It's a group, yeah.
It's not a porn group. Okay, we move on. We move on from the topic.
He's gonna check.
He's gonna like
media,
interject the
porno.
show, right? Interject the show. Okay.